Let's go! NIL, name, image, and likeness. There's so many things we got to get to in today's video. The first thing is, what exactly is the NIL? NIL is name, image, and likeness. And this, of course, is the biggest story in all of college sports because July 1st is the first day that all 50 states, college athletes everywhere, can make money off their name, image, and likeness. So what exactly does that mean? Well, athletes can now be sponsored. So in the past, let's just say there was an athlete who had a YouTube channel such as this one. They could not make money off of it. And this has been a big issue. It's not just YouTube, though. It's players can now do autograph signings. Players, of course, can now, sell memorabilia and so many different things. So obviously, that's huge because in the past, players have gotten in trouble for this, whether it's Todd Gurley or, Johnny Manziel under the table signed a lot of stuff. And obviously, Reggie Bush. But there is a huge difference. This is not pay for play. This is, you can't still just get a $100,000 salary from some booster. But what you can do, in theory, is pay a kid for a $100,000 cameo or sponsorship read or whatever. So this is going to allow players to actually make some money. And I think overall that's a good thing. I'll get a little deeper into my personal opinion on it. But so far, we've already seen LSU players start to cash in. So Myles Brennan has a few big sponsorships. Derek Stingley Jr., no shock there, has a deal in place with walk-ons, and the list goes on and on and on. But the biggest shakeup has been this company called Yoke Gaming, which weirdly has ties to Bo Pelini. But anyway, Yoke Gaming has a lot, and I mean a lot of college athletes signed up, and quite a few LSU athletes signed up as well. Austin Deculus, Keishon Butte, Jay Ward, and look, it's working. We're talking about it now. I will share this. I've actually had a tweet put out into the ether, and I have paid a player to release a tweet, and I'm still deciding whether or not I want to reveal who that player is. So I might wait till after the season's over. Anyway, it's one of my favorite players on the LSU team. But also, really quickly, I do actually have another tweet, because I like supporting the LSU athletes. I do. I actually have another tweet that is currently pending right now, so we'll see if it actually goes through. We'll keep you updated. Is LSU in a more advantageous position than other universities to make this move? And the answer is probably yes. The first thing is LSU did a good job of getting out in front of it. They released one of their fancy videos that only LSU can edit. I mean, their creative team is so good. And that's not just me, the LSU fan, speaking. I have some friends who are on that team, but still, they're the best. And obviously everybody has great creative teams, Clemson in particular, but still, this is national. National brains have always talked about how great LSU is at this. And they went all the way to Times Square, New York, to put up this billboard, this NIL billboard, which I ripped off the video that they released, which was narrated by Jamal Adams, and it was really, they've just hammered this. And just like NFL LSU, with NFL players in the past, they did NI LSU. And remember, this actually goes wider than just LSU football. This is all of sanctioned college athletics. So there's, in fact, a few LSU athletes who are going to make quite a good bit of money. Sharif O'Neal is one of them, Shaq's son, and then Olivia Dunne has one of the biggest social media followings, and she's also an LSU athlete, an LSU gymnast. So yes, this is obviously good for athletes to make some money because they do put so much time into what they do. And what something else that's going to help LSU is that with certain approval, you can actually do some sponsorship reads in LSU gear, whereas TCU and some other places, you cannot do that. So throughout this video, you guys have seen different rules and different graphics as to what you can and cannot do as far as the framework of all of this is concerned. Now, we get to the fun part, okay? Is this the end of college athletics? Are we doomed? Yeah, the music and everything was a little dramatic. However, there are some people that are wondering this very thing. So obviously, after I'm done here at the end, I need you to get in the comment section and let me know, is the NIL actually good for college sports? And I really do need your help on it. Be honest. So this is where you got to look at it from so many different angles. Anything can happen. And just in the past month, we've seen two gigantic rule changes that will shake up college sports more than any other rule change that we know of. Now imagine how much college football has just changed in the past month, where obviously this drops. We hear about the college football playoff potentially expanding. But to me, still the biggest thing is the college football transfer portal on where you're immediately eligible to go from school to school. So basically, all three of those things helps the athlete in a lot of different ways, particularly the transfer portal and the NIL, where the athletes are going to have more power over their image and over their own mobility. So that's going to be very fascinating, and that's going to be the big change. However, I don't think it's going to cause some type of crumbling in all of athletics. I just don't see it happening. LSU is such a huge multi-million-dollar enterprise, and I don't think you have to worry about what athletes are going to make. Now, some very smart people, such as Andrew Brandt, brings up the question, well, what if athletes start making all the money, the sponsorship dollars that would have instead went to the university? And obviously that is a concern, but I really do think most of the advertising dollars are going to be from micro advertising platforms, such as influencer marketing. For instance, Yoke Gaming would not sponsor LSU athletics. Yoke Gaming is going to sponsor individual micro influencers instead of a macro influencer such as LSU. Now, of course, there's going to be some huge superstars that could draw a Ford sponsorship or whatever. I mean, we saw Myles Brennan with Smoothie King, which obviously is a big corporate entity, but still, I just don't think LSU is going to lose as much money in this as people put it out there. I just don't see that happening. Now, of course, it could. We're still in the very early stages of this. How the NIL looks now is going to be completely different in a month once the buzz of all of this is worn down. But still, it is important to keep in mind that anything regarding this can change the future of college sports. So, yes, you should be cautiously optimistic about stuff like this. But still, I think LSU athletics is going to be fine. I really do. Now, there are, of course, take this tweet from Jimmy Dykes, former Arkansas women's basketball coach, who said, I'm worried about locker room dynamics. He said, coaches, good luck with locker room dynamics. That's just not, come on. Okay, so the first thing is athletes are happy for other athletes and their success. It's just a bottom line. They really do, cheer for other athletes to go get their money or go get their bread. So I don't think you have to worry about that. Now, of course, some of you have brought this up. Well, what if a backup, let's say Cardell Thomas, who is this viral internet sensation, even though so far he's not done a whole lot for LSU, what if he starts making all this money and the starters on the offensive line aren't getting any sponsorship deals? So what? Okay? So there's always special exceptions for certain type of athletes. It's entertainment, whatever. And I understand athletes are going to try and be more marketable because of this. I just don't think it's going to be something you have to worry about too much. And once again, I could be wrong about that, but still, I just don't see that. I just don't see there being some absolutely awful change in locker room dynamics. Now, of course, there is some skepticism regarding athletes and their financial literacy, but that's with everyone. We're not taught enough about financial literacy in high school, but we do know that the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, and that is very important information outside of knowing what a Roth IRA is or, stuff that will actually make you money and help you out in your real life. This is also very important as well, there's companies like Open Doors and different firms that are helping universities and athletes with this movement. Of course, there's always going to be jealousy. You always want something that someone else already has. I want 100,000 subscribers. I want a silver play button. I'm 96 plus thousand away from that, but that's what I want. 95,000 plus. I'm horrible at math. Doesn't mean I'm jealous. Doesn't mean I'm not happy for everyone that has 100,000 subscribers. So yeah, there's always going to be jealousy, but I don't think it's going to be to the point where it's going to erode teams. But yeah, financial literacy, taxes, knowing your self-worth, obviously that's going to be important. I do think some athletes are going to be rudely awakened for how much advertising value they have and how much they individually actually move the needle, because there's not that many athletes that individually can really, really push the needle. But that doesn't mean athletes can't make their money. And the big point here isn't will athlete X actually push the needle. It's the right for them to do so. Once again, I don't care if an athlete can make $10 million or not. I care if they have the opportunity to do so. And I think most of you agree that athletes should have the opportunity to do so. Well, I don't want college athletics to turn into professional sports. I don't either. I like college football just the way it is. Trust me, I don't want anything to change, but that doesn't mean that college football doesn't have a faulty business model, because they do. Okay, really think about the college athletics business model. Millions upon millions, up to billions of dollars over the decades that have been made through college athletics has been on the back of unsalaried employees. It's wild. Explain that to anyone else that doesn't know a thing about college athletics, and they will be blown away by that. And honestly, when you say it aloud, it's also very wild. And I understand athletes get scholarships, and schools like LSU give them, classes and a place to live and top-notch cuisine and all this free gear, and all that's great. Don't get it wrong. There is value in a scholarship. I don't like it when people go to that extreme, but athletes should be able to make money off their name, image, and likeness. Look, I've always dreamed of being an LSU football player. It was always my dream. I also had a dream of doing YouTube and doing media. And obviously YouTube, when I was at LSU, wasn't huge at the time. It was in its very early stages. But if I had to give up the ability to, make money off of doing this just to play a sport, when I know that it's not going to conflict with each other, that to me is wild. That would be a wild concept to me. So, yes, I actually like the fact that athletes have the opportunity to have this opportunity to make money. So obviously comment down below, do you like the new name, image, and likeness movement in college sports? Type Y for yes, type N for no. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom! I think we're doing pizza tonight. Let's go! Detroit style. Let's go!